Hello. I recently recorded the message for parents and guardians about illness symptoms and when to keep your kid home from school. The following are not about illnesses per se, but they kind of feel related a little bit. So I want to talk to you about lice, fleas, and bed bugs. I don't know that it's anybody's like favorite topic, but I think that it would be helpful just to kind of like give you a baseline for how we kind of look at and treat each of these situations. I've been in education for a while, and I've been a principal a good chunk of that, and I've seen these things, and I think that we really want to lead with our heart on something like this, and really take into consideration the efforts of families and the feelings of students regarding these things. Because what they tell us is that there's a negative connotation with a lot of people regarding these critters, like having these is supposed to like indicate that somebody's dirty or whatever, and that's not accurate. These issues can affect anybody. Did you see that? I itched talking about it. That's subconscious. Sorry about that. I'm not itchy. um, but I mean, you can have any or all of these problems, regardless of the cleanest house in the world, dirtiest house in the world, uh, money, not so much money. They have these problems in five-star hotels. So if we ever have to have a conversation like A to B on lice, fleas, or bed bugs, really, really know that I don't see it as like any kind of like indication of somebody's um, quality or anything about that person, and I want to model that for my families as well. So then let's kind of jump into it. Lice can feel like a super dramatic problem if your kid comes home with a head full of lice, but we should kind of temper that expectation with the guidance I've been given by nurses at the health department in the past, that lice is um, it's a nuisance more so than like a public health issue. So in our policy, we ask for students that have live lice to be excluded, so that they can receive treatment and to minimize the chance that they're going to spread lice. We like to think that we have pretty good policies in place all the time about not sharing hats, keeping people's stuff separate. So we don't see lice as a thing that makes us hit like the panic button by any means. If you know kind of something about the life cycle of lice, you can probably realize that if we exclude somebody until a parent or guardian brings them back and the nurse does a comb through and we see no live lice, that could mean there's eggs or nits still present. That gets into like a lot of challenges, like a really good lice treatment, like the shampoo and stuff. It could kill all those things, and it's really hard to get it out of hair, some hair especially. So our standard is not zero lice, zero nits, zero eggs. It's no live lice. I hope that doesn't make you feel like we're not doing enough. But the way I'd want you to kind of weigh that is, how long are we going to exclude a kid from his or her education for something that's outside of that kid's control completely? But I mean, if you've ever kind of had to follow up with an issue of lice, it can feel almost out of the control of the person doing the treatment. You do the best you can, but we don't want to stretch that process out any longer than we really need to. So having lice, we're if we find them, we'll send that student home and we'll ask that you treat them like that night. And the intent would be it kills the live lice. Bring your child back, get a test by the nurse, and then hopefully the kid goes back to class. Not a huge problem. Fleas are they're more of a situation, I think, when somebody's dealing with them, that they're dealing with at home. I don't know that you bring fleas to school and then we have a flea outbreak. So I don't bring that up in lice. I think we can kind of see them differently that way. But my biggest concern with fleas is how uncomfortable they make kids. So if we call home and we say we see bites on your kid, we think they might be fleas, we're really hoping that whoever we call about that takes it seriously and does what needs to be done, because our top priority in that situation is making sure the kid is comfortable. If you got a kid who has flea bites and is scratching them all day long and scratching them till they bleed and becoming an issue of spreading, blood is kind of like a bodily fluid that could have diseases in it. We can't keep kids around for that situation. Like looking at the fingernails, do we have like an issue where we're scratching raw parts? That doesn't work for us. We're not trying to exclude a kid, but kids don't learn very well when they're in that level of discomfort. So if we reach out about that, that's kind of our biggest concern. Do you know your kid's getting bit? Are you doing something about the bites? Do we have what we need to make your kid most comfortable until those bites heal? That kind of leads us into the last one, bed bugs. Bed bugs are more transmissible. They, again, are more like fleas in the sense that if a kid has bed bug bites, they generally happen at home because bed bugs bite at night. They don't even transport on kids very often. Somebody could have bed bugs, they come out, they leave bites, they go back to where like they've got like hiding spots. They can make their hiding spots a book bag or a backpack or somebody's clothes or something like that and hitchhike to school and spread here. But when you're thinking about the school and how we mitigate those things, that's more rare than somebody just having them at home. So if somebody's notice that they have bed bugs and they want to call us and make us aware, we do have some precautions that we can take to do our best to make sure that they're not spread. More often than that, we find out because somebody finds one and we're like, oh no, we found one in this book that belongs to so and so. So we call home. Maybe the clinic checks for bed bug bites and we call and we say, we're not a doctor, we can't diagnose this, but it's like we found a bug. We checked, we found bites that seem consistent with bed bugs. You might want to go see a doctor. You might want to look into treatment. Again, it's never our intent to shame anybody or make anybody feel bad about this kind of stuff. But none of us want to be responsible for, it's too bad when anybody has to deal with it. If we are lax and we make everybody have to deal with it, that's even worse. So our sympathies to any family who has to deal with that. They could get picked up basically anywhere. Sometimes we have an issue where a student maybe lives between two different homes, one home on the weekend, one home during the week. Maybe somebody treats for the fleas, but somebody else doesn't treat for the fleas and we get flea bites again. Like we're kind of used to all those things, but let us know when there's an issue like that, because when we find out a kid's just scratching, they go to the clinic and we find out they've got bites on them, our heart just goes out to those kids. So I think that it helps myself and the teachers and the nurse to understand where you are in the process of kind of getting that handled. It's not a fun topic. It's not one that I love dealing with as a principal, but I know that it's important to you that our kids feel their best, and it's important to you that we've got kind of like plans and we have awareness of like when one person's kind of issue regarding that can affect your family. And we don't want to be a place where we're having hitchhikers go from kind of one person's belongings to another. So, give some thought to those. Give some thought to how lice is more of a nuisance problem. Bed bugs is more of like it can be a real challenging problem to clear a whole house of bed bugs. So if when we take it seriously, I don't want to put families in that situation. I don't want kids to have to deal with it's uncomfortable. It's not fun to have that. But it's also not me sitting here terribly concerned about it. We're here trying to teach the kids, and the longer I can go without having outbreaks of those types, that's great. If we don't have any cases of lice, that'll be awesome. But I just wanted you to kind of hear from me how we look at it so that you can kind of know where your expectations should be, either if you have to deal with one of these problems, or if you hear somebody else is dealing with it and you say, why did the principal not reach out to me and tell me I should be on the lookout for this? If I think that there's a real transmission risk that your kid has brought something home, I'll let you know. But a lot of times we just try to handle it real privately. I think you understand. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Have a nice day.